I have a hot Cheeto addiction. Hey guys, Bemi here, and today I'm going to tell you guys another story. This one is going to be about the time that I'm pretty sure my friend got drugged at a bar. And we didn't really realize that he had probably gotten drugged until way after the fact. Yes, it is a male friend and not a female friend. Anyway, so to start this story off, we were all going to go to the next town over. And by we, I mean myself, my husband, his friend, other friend who didn't get drugged, the friend that did get drugged. We will call him Richard, just for anonymity's sake. So anyway, so all four of us had planned to go to the next town over. I was going to be the DD, and I was the DD, and we all piled into my car and we drove on to the next town over. And in this town, it's about 30 minutes away from where we lived. And in this town is a pretty notorious bar, and it's just like kind of a skeezy place to go. And now it's kind of a running joke, like, oh, hey, are we going to the I feel like I don't want to name it. What's a bird name? A swan. Are we going to the Swan tonight? Yeah, it's not called the Swan. It's stupid. Anyway, so we get into town. We get to the bar. Mind you, the boys have probably had, I don't know, a few drinks, but they've all had the exact same amount of drinks. So they haven't, like, nobody has been like pounding them back, nothing. And I feel like this is kind of important to the story, that everybody's had the same drink. Everyone had the same amount. So we get there, we get to the bar, go inside, everybody's ordering drinks, except for me, because I'm always the DD, designated Demi. It's kind of what that stands for. Anyway, so we're hanging out, and who do we see? A girl we went to high school with, a girl I have personally known almost my literal entire life. So anyway, we see this girl at the bar. We'll call her Jane. We see Jane at the bar. We're like, oh my gosh, hey Jane, how's it going? We should totally hang out. And she's like, yeah, we should hang out. And so we're hanging out with Jane. She's got some creepy friend with her, like super creepy, like I hate to say it, but he had a rapey vibe. That's not okay. So this dude kind of had like off-putting vibe. Nobody really wants him around. And so we're talking to her and her friend, and they're like, oh, we should go to the other bar around the corner that is named after a yoga position. Super pretentious. They have like food, like meals. Like, of course we're at a bar, like we could get like pretzels or like something stupid. But we don't want pretzels. We want like real food. And I'm like friggin' hungry. So we go to other yoga bar. We go to the yoga bar. At this time, my friend Richard is kind of like acting a little bit weird. Everybody just thinks that he's like getting like kind of drunk. Like he's just like, you know, maybe it's just he's a lightweight, because he's kind of always the friend that's puking. I feel like everybody always has the friend that's always just like vomiting every time you go out. So Richard, he's like all over the place. And we order food, and everybody's like having like a fine time. And then our friend Richard, he's just like freaking out. He's like way out of it. And he's standing up, and he can't even stand straight. Like he's like hasn't gotten his sea legs yet or something. Like, I don't even know. So he didn't. So the table we were sitting at was like two smaller square tables like next to each other to create like a bigger table for all of us, because there was like friggin' like 7 of us or something. So, or 6 of us. Anyway, so it's 2 tables pushed together. Well, he didn't realize that it was 2 tables pushed together to make a long one, and he thought it was a long one. So he put his hands down on the edge of the table and like flipped the table, and all the drinks that were on that table went crashing down all over the ground. Everybody, like, of course I'm the sober one, so I'm like, oh my god, this guy, like I'm the designated driver and this guy's out of control, like just general, like, I'm a sober person around drunk people frustration. And my husband and his other friend are like totally not even almost drunk. Like, they're like probably buzzed, I'm assuming, but they're not like wasted by any means. And our friend Jane is like, hey, do you want me to take Richard maybe back to the other bar, which is a little bit rowdier, so it makes more sense for him to be at the other bar, because the bar we're at is like mostly a restaurant. And so I'm like, get him out of here. Jane and her creepy ass friend take Richard to the Swan bar. So they take him to the other bar, and because I hadn't even gotten my food yet, or else I probably would have taken him somewhere. I get my food, we eat, we're done, and we're like, okay, let's go get Richard. So we walk around the corner to the other bar, go inside, we search. This bar has 2 levels, by the way, it's a 2-story bar. We check the entire top story, and we don't see Jane, we don't see Richard. We go downstairs, we don't see Jane, we don't see Richard. Where in the fuck could these people have gone? Like, I'm like freaking out, like, where are they? Is this potentially a dangerous situation? Like, I don't even know. We're searching and we're like, all right, let's do one more round on the 2nd story, and hopefully we'll find one of them, we'll find someone. We're walking around, we see Jane. I was so excited, so we run over and we're like, oh my god, Jane, and she's like, oh hey guys, what's up? We're like, hey, have you seen Richard? The first freaking words out of her mouth are, oh shit. That moment in time, I'm like, cool, she lost him. Like, I don't know how they made it. Like, literally, here's a block. Like, when you're, like, here's where the bar we started at is, here's the other bar. Literally, like, a half a block away. I'm like, how did you lose him? So she's just like, blah, 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 whatever. We run downstairs, and I'm calling him, and he's, like, not answering. I don't see him anywhere. He's not downstairs, like, in the smokers area. He's absolutely nowhere. So I'm, like, freaking out. The boys are freaking out. Finally, I get a hold of him. And I'm like, oh my god, where are you? And he has no idea where he's at. He's, like, so fucked up. He's so wasted. He has no idea where he's at. I'm like, do you know what is around you? Can you tell me, like, a store that you're near? Like, can you tell me if you see anything? And he's like, I don't know. I can't see anything. I don't know where I'm at. I'm, like, in an alley or something. Some intelligible words came out of his mouth. And I'm like, oh my god, like, he doesn't even know where he is. Like, how do we find him? I'm, like, freaking out. Like, I don't want him to get, like, ran over by a car. Next thing we know, he's, like, stumbling into the middle of the friggin' street, like, all fucked up. We're like, oh my god, there you are. And he has no idea, like, what's going on. He doesn't know where the girl he was with is at. So we try to get back into the bar we were in. He's so fucked up, they won't let him in. I guess when they had left originally to go to that bar, the bouncer wouldn't let him in. So we're like, fine, let's go eat some food. We went to a 24-hour diner. Literally took me 5 minutes to drive there. 5 minutes. Probably not even 5 minutes. Probably like 2 minutes to drive there. Our friend passes out in my backseat. Like, done. Like, he's like DED. He's done. So we're like, fine. Like, we'll just leave. Let him, like, sleep in the car and we'll go get food. We're eating. And the guy who's, like, serving us, our waiter dude, he's like, blah, 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 like, talking to us, like, chit-chatting, having a good time, because it's, like, 2 in the morning, there's no one else in there. This other waiter comes up and is like, oh my god, dude, like, you gotta see it. It's, like, so ridiculous. There's some guy hanging out of a car in the parking lot puking. I'm like, hold on. What car? He's like, oh, it's like a little, white Ford out in the parking lot. And I'm like, white Ford? That's my white Ford. And so I'm like, okay, boys, give me the bill. Let's go. We gotta go. My friend's puking in my car. Like, we gotta go. So we get outside, our friend, half hanging out of my back seat, door wide open, vomit all over the ground. And we're like, oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? He's like, Demi, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I puked. And I'm like, oh my God, like, did you puke in my car? And he's like, I'm so sorry I puked in your car. He thought he puked in my car. He didn't puke in my car, it was fine. So I'm like, clearly I need to take these people home. So we load back up in my car, drive back home, drop off our friend. Then we go to Richard's house. I think he was living with his grandfather at the time. And he's like, we're getting to his grandpa's house and he's like, I can't get in. I'm like, what do you mean you can't get in? He's like, I can't get in, the door's locked. I'm like, what, you don't have a key? He was like, the doorknob's broken. And I'm like, what are you even saying right now? Like, none of this even makes sense. So I'm like, at least just try to get in the house. If you can't get in, you can come to our house and spend the night. He walks up. This motherfucker, he walks up to his grandfather's front door, does this to the doorknob. Yeah, that's right, instant replay. Whoop, whoop, whoop. He does this to the doorknob. Just jiggled it. Just jiggled that doorknob. Like, oh, I was like, come on, dude. We're like, both me and Ed are like, are you kidding me? Like, what is he doing? And so we like roll on the window and we're like, okay, dude, like, just come to our house, it'll be fine. What does he do? But he starts to walk toward my car, does not get in my car, but gets in his grandfather's van. He sits in that van. And he turns over, looks at me and Ed in our car and like, gives me this like face. And just like shakes his head. Like, what are you doing? You're so stupid. Like, you're in the wrong car. And all I could do was like, is he seriously like shaking his head at me? Like, I'm the stupid one? Like, I'm the one in the car, the wrong car? So finally, after like telling him, like yelling at him to get out of the car, he finally got out of his grandpa's van and finally got it back into my car. We roll back up to our house. We pull up in the driveway, which is like slanted, like probably like that much. It's a little bit of a slope, but it's not that steep. We're getting out of the car. The first thing our friend Richard does, puts one foot out of my car and like rolls his ass down the driveway. Like, the bottom of the driveway is where he ended up. And he's like, oh, my head. And I'm like, are you okay? Like, let me look at it. And he like won't let me fucking look at it. Like, he's like, don't touch me. Like, get away from me. Like, little kid, like, oh, don't touch me, I'm okay. Like, we gave him water, I'm pretty sure. We gave him like ice pack or something. And he went to sleep. Which, looking back on it now, we probably shouldn't have let him go to sleep because he could have had a concussion for all we knew. But you live and you learn. Okay, friends, my battery died. You know. Anyway, so ooh, I feel like that's really tall. But we gave him some water, gave him an ice pack, sent him to bed. And the next morning we woke up, he was gone. Because it turns out he had a wedding to go to. So after that crazy night, our theory, considering that all three of the boys had the same amount of drinks, Siri. So considering that all the boys had all the same amount to drink, what we thought happened was the creepy creeperton that our friend Jane was with had probably tried to drug her drink. Because I know that at some point in the night, Richard and Jane both had gotten like a vodka cranberry. And I feel like something had happened and she gave him her drink. So what we think had happened is that her creepy creeperton friend tried to drug her, and when she gave our friend her drink, he inadvertently had gotten drugged. Which is super unfortunate, and like looking back, it's kind of the only thing that like makes sense. Even though he's like that friend that always is like puking every time we go out, like This was so way out of the norm and absolutely horrifying. So, moral of the story, if your friend you're out drinking with your friends and your friends are acting like super out of control, out of the norm, maybe take them home. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening to another story time. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening to another story time, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!